The next thing we're going to take a look at are wages. So hourly workers work for an hourly rate called a wage. For example, locksmith might charge $30 an hour. People with these wages are paid weekly, every 2 weeks, or monthly. It just depends on the company that you're working for. So to figure out your wages, you are going to take your hourly rate and multiply that times the hours worked. People who are paid hourly can be paid for working over their set number of hours, so they can get paid overtime. And so when you are being paid overtime, you figure this out at a higher rate. So usually it will be your hourly rate times your overtime factor. So maybe you're working time and a half. And then how many hours you have worked in overtime. So only the overtime hours, so if you work 2 hours of overtime, only those 2 extra hours are going to be paid at this different rate. So all this stuff right now that we just talked about, the amount of money that a person earns, we call that gross pay. That's not the amount that a person has for their take-home pay. We call the amount of money that you take home, we call that net pay. And the reason that it's not the same is because there are many different deductions that take place. So there are some that will take place for everybody. There are others that will only take place for certain people. So some examples is the federal income tax that comes out of everyone's paycheck. We have what we call FICA. And so FICA deals with Social Security, and Medicare. And this should come out of everyone's paycheck as well. In 2020, they take out 6.2% for Social Security, and they take out 1.45% for Medicare. And so in total, everyone gets 7.65% taken out for that. Some states also will have a state income tax. Michigan is one of the states that does. Some people will have things taken out for their retirement. You can have a little piece of each paycheck put away. Sometimes you can make payments to different credit unions directly from your paycheck. So maybe you have a loan going from there and they will automatically take that out of your paycheck. And then sometimes they'll take out for dues. So we talked about when you have unions, when you belong to a union. So if you belong to a union, you have to pay union dues. And so that would come directly out of your paycheck. So we have Robin Rudolph here earning $15.30 an hour as a secretary. In addition to the federal income and FICA taxes, she has the following deductions from her paycheck. She saves $25 per week into her savings account and $21 per week for her health insurance. So this is an example of somebody who's paying for their own insurance. They're not being provided insurance by their employer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out her gross pay. And so we know that she makes $15.30 an hour, and she is working 40 hours a week. So if we go ahead and multiply that, we're going to get $612. Now we're going to use our federal withholding table that I provided for you, and we're going to use the fact that she is single and she's claiming one exemption. And we're also going to make sure that we're looking in the weekly deduction section of that. And so if we're looking in that, we're going to see that they are going to take out $52. Then we're going to go ahead and we are going to figure out how much her FICA deduction is for. So we're taking still her gross pay amount. We're not subtracting them out from the withholding table yet. So that's $612. We are going to multiply that by 7.65%. So remember, as a percent, that's 0.0765. So then we're going to go ahead and we are going to do that, and we are going to get $46.82. And then we know that she also has some other deductions. So the deductions that go into her savings accounts and the deduction for her insurance. So here we have another $46. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to subtract this, and we're going to subtract this and subtract this from that $612. So her net pay is $467.18. Here's another example. Mary Simpson earns $9 an hour on an assembly line. If her overtime rate is time and a half, what is her gross pay? So here we're not really looking at all those deductions. What we're trying to do is find out her overtime pay, just the gross pay of it. So we know that she is working, or she makes $9 an hour, and a normal week is 40 hours a week. And so if we do that, she makes $360. Now we need to figure out how much she is making for her overtime. So her overtime is coming from the fact that she makes $9 an hour. She gets time and a half. So time would be 1.5, would be 1.5. And then she is working 5 hours of overtime. So if we multiply all these together, we're going to get $67.50. So now we want to know how much she makes altogether. So instead of subtracting this time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add those together. And so we're going to get $427.50. This is her gross pay. We could go ahead and we could figure out her deductions and her taxes and all that kind of stuff. But the problem just is to figure out what her gross pay was.